Hi, welcome to Mr. B's How to Read a Sentence. This is the video series where I give you the 5 steps for how to read a sentence and figure out the grammar involved. Now, you're looking at the website, you see the 5 steps above me. I'm going to go through the entire process in this short video so that you'll see what our learning target is. But you won't be able to go through all of these steps until you've completed the video lessons below. So, step number 1 of the 5 directions tells you to isolate the prepositional phrases. Jim is a student in the school. In the school is your prepositional phrase, so you can see I've crossed it out. That leaves us with the sentence, Jim is a student. Step number 2 asks you to find the verb and determine whether it's a linking verb or an action verb. In this case, we have a linking verb, is. Jim is a student. Student is a noun that follows the linking verb, and it renames your subject, Jim. So in this case, we have student as a predicate noun renaming Jim. Here's the second example. In the yard, Jim is happy about the sunshine. Step number 1, we're going to isolate the prepositional phrases. In the yard is one of them, we'll cross it out. About the sunshine is another one, and we'll cross that one out. That leaves us with the basic sentence, Jim is happy. We look for the verb, which is, and determine that it is a linking verb. So we have Jim is happy. Happy is an adjective in this case that describes the subject Jim, making it a predicate adjective. Step number 5 asks you, is it an action verb instead of a linking verb? So we go through the same basic steps to start with. The first thing we'll do is isolate the prepositional phrases and we'll cross them out. In this case, we have the sentence, in the kitchen, Jim cooked Mary eggs from the store. We isolate the prepositional phrases and cross them out. In the kitchen is a prepositional phrase, let's get rid of it. Jim cooked Mary eggs from the store. From the store is another prepositional phrase, so we'll get rid of that. And that breaks us down to our basic sentence. Jim cooked Mary eggs. The next thing we want to do is determine the verb. Cooked is the verb, and it's an action verb. Then we want to figure out the subject, and we look left to find the subject 95% of the time. And in this case, we'll look at this, and it's Jim. Left of the action verb, he's the subject of the sentence. Jim cooked Mary eggs. The question we want to ask when we've got the action verb is there a noun after the action verb that directly receives the action of the verb? And in this case, we look to eggs. The eggs are directly receiving the action of being cooked. So they're a direct object. Then we say, is there an indirect object? There won't always be an indirect object, but if we do have an indirect object, it's always going to fall between the action verb and the direct object, and it indirectly receives the action of the verb. And so in this case, Mary becomes our indirect object because she's indirectly receiving the action of the cooked eggs. So we've got Jim cooked eggs, direct action, for Mary. So Mary is in between cooked and eggs, and she becomes the indirect object. I know, at this point you're probably saying, Mr. B, I will never get this down. But we've got time. By the time you get to high school, I promise you, we'll have figured out the 5 steps for how to read a sentence. Let's get started.